Welcome to the group chat with Tara Thomas and Amanda Goodman of Faith and Four-Letter Words.
Good Wednesday morning. I'm Tara Thomas.
And I'm Amanda Goodman. Thanks so much for joining us. What is the day today? It is Wednesday, May 13th.
Wow.
The temperature is
Like
still
the month's
chilly.
like almost half over now.
The month is almost half over.
Hopefully you guys can hear us. We were having some technical difficulties, so we were a minute late joining the chat. But yes, we
are in the chat now. Let me check, and I will make sure that we are.
Okay.
You can hear us. If you can give us the thumbs up that you can hear us, and we should be. But we're just going to keep talking until someone tells us. Yes. So Gia had her last day of school yesterday. I'm very excited that she had her last day of school. It has been a long year. I think the good thing is with things that happen in school when you're a kid, you get some perspective. And so then it kind of, sometimes God, okay, Jenny, she can hear our work.
Thank you, Jenny.
I think it makes us that God makes you excited. He'll give you, if you think you're sad about something, he'll give you something to be like, just hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to my brother this morning, and you'll appreciate this. So my brother and I were like dissecting something that had recently happened. And he's like, do people in the Midwest know that you don't take the high road? And I started laughing, and I said, yeah, I think people do. He's like, I mean, do they know that you go low like you're back at Star Skating Rink and doing the limbo?
Oh my gosh, that is a great reference. So,
I mean, it is.
yes.
It's like I would go lower than.
Well, and you seem like you were closer to the ground than I was, so you were perhaps better at the limbo because I'm awful at the limbo.
Oh,
when you're tall, especially I have a long torso,
and I don't really feel sorry for you because I'm jealous of your long torso.
I would have been awful at the limbo.
You were great. You probably look good in like the low rise jeans because you had all midriff.
Well, that was pre-kids, so as we've said, we had the flat stomachs.
You
right?
have a flat stomach now. You have always had a flat stomach.
You guys know, ladies know that when you have a kid, it's just the weirdest thing, but like your body never returns to its original glory.
Never,
especially
ever.
After 4 kids.
After
right?
4,
I know that's a lot of stretching.
I think after 3, it's done.
Yeah,
like there's no, like your hips are the way they're supposed to be, and they're. So we were talking about something, and I posted something on my AG page. I'm holding my glasses off today. This is what I look like without glasses. I can't see you, but I can, we were talking about big friend groups, and I think we're told a lie when we're kids that the more friends you have, the more popular you are. Mm-hmm. And that's what's been shown in every 80s movie that we've watched, right? It's always the big group of people. And as you get older, you learn something when there's a big group of people. That big group doesn't like each other either.
Yes, most likely there are some.
It is a very rare occasion
within the large group.
There is the group chat there are multiple chats within the bigger group thing. So it's, the thing for today is 1 to 3. You need to have yourself 1 to 3. And I think thinking about me and you, we do, right? And then we have, and then we, and some of those include our college friends. Like, you have Gina, and I have, that because college is where you really find
yourself too. And that's so true. And I think in college, and those of you who've experienced that college life where you're not living at all with your parents, you really then start to have intentional time to build relationships, and your parents aren't meddling in those relationships. Right. And I think that's the distinction, because what we see and what we've talked about, this happens in middle school and even still in high school. There are a lot of parents who don't want their kid to be on the outs. So they're going to socially inject them. Yes. Try to social engineer and inject themselves into situations. And so I always think that that's unrealistic than if you're telling your kid like who they should date or who they should hang out with. Because once they're in college, they should have some level of autonomy. And then I think it's hard because then they start to question, am I hanging out with this person because I genuinely like him or her? Or is it because my mom and this person's mom have been friends since kindergarten and we should like stay close? I don't know. And so I told somebody, and it's sad, I remember in middle school, I've shared this with you. I got a text from a mom that said that Charlotte and these other 2 girls that had been really close, that they were they were having a falling out. They weren't getting along. And I did not mean this to be callous or cold, but I literally texted back, I hope they figure it out.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just moved on because I mean, I'm not interested in, unless it's harmful, I'm not interested in going back through, their text chat and like dissecting who said what to whom, and because they were in like 7th grade. And so my thing is, if you go hands off, that's the sooner your kid can figure out how to navigate it, the better, because it's not going to end. We're going to deal with it as adults.
Right.
So in this case, it didn't work out. They were not close anymore,
You can't. I will never force friendships among any of my children. I will not force friendships, whether if my children are the ones being excluded. I don't want my children to exclude. I want my children to be kind to everybody, but I don't teach my children to be friends with everybody because it's not realistic. And that's where we messed up. That's where we messed up along the way. We teach our kids, be friends with everybody. It's not realistic. Teach your children to be kind to everybody. Be kind. We don't have to be, because you're not going to be friends with everybody.
Right.
It's not realistic. It's not realistic. And then and I think what I have seen, there are more parents, and this is my experience, not just being a mom myself, but dealing with bullying, like the anti-bullying movement for decades. So too many parents stay silent just as long as their kid's not the one being excluded.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
If their kid's not being excluded, we're good. There's no problem. But when it's them, then it's like, then it's the problem. For me, I'm like, no, you can't have selective outrage when it comes to a child being mistreated. I don't care who it is. I mean, and I have tough conversations with my children when I see it happening. If my children, because my kids aren't perfect, my kids have been mean, right? My kids have left out. I've seen something like, kind of very clear, and
so what's really hard that I think people forget, if your child is a part of a group that might be intentionally excluding someone, and they may be a passive participant, they may not be the one saying, oh no, we don't want to invite her to that, but they go along with somebody choosing not to invite the person. So then it is like, you're guilt by association, an accomplice, right? Now, what I've seen is sometimes then when the tables turn and all of a sudden a person's daughter or son is now the targeted excluded party, I have then seen people will say like, well, I can't believe you let your daughter or you let your son do that because they were supposed to be a good friend, And the thing is, in those situations, that's like a huge double standard, because what's good for one is good for all. So, I mean, you can't pick and choose when you decide to be feeling, getting in your feelings. And to your point, I think it's generally something that people are just like whatever about until their kid comes home crying.
Yeah, and
that's hard.
And I don't want to hear it anymore. Right. If it's happened to your child, I don't want to hear it then because I am very much, and there's a quote and I shared it last night. Like when you get the chance to bring the hammer, you know what I mean? If you get a chance to respond, I hope you bring the hammer down, because no one cared when she was being the nail or he was being the nail. That's right. A good way. And so for me, I'm not like, I am not, and this may be like, it's a flaw of mine. If you're talking about being a good Christian, it may be like a flaw of mine and a fault. I will never, ever forget how you made me feel. And I'm not going to go out of my way to mistreat you, but now I'm done. Like there is nothing in the future that you can say, oh, I need you, I'm out. Because you can't, because now you're coming back to me for an opportunity. You're coming back to me because there's a need for you. And it's like, we've talked, like opportunity controls people's loyalty. 1000%. I am not like, I can't do it. And I can't do it. And and I tell my children the same way. So, and I said, and when people come back to you and they will, and my sister and I were talking about this on the phone this morning. She had people who were awful to her in high school, awful. And she said, she's like, the hardest thing is when they would come back around on social media and they would like friend request. And she's like, because they just want to be nosy and they want to see what I'm doing and they want to make sure.
And you still have those same hurt feelings.
Oh my gosh. Think about it right now. How many of you in the group chat right now can remember vividly, names, dates, locations about somebody who made you feel less than when you were in high school, middle school, grade? I mean, We all do.
Mhm.
We all, I mean, I can
That's true. You don't.
vividly, you don't forget. That was the first time I realized. Before that was the trend of knowing, like, do you have my back when I'm not in the room? Because I
Mhm.
walked up on a conversation and my best friend since childhood, like people were like making a comment because I was arguing with one and then someone was like saying something and then someone rolled their eyes and then my best friend laughed, joined in. And I remember thinking, well, that's not supposed to happen.
Mhm. And it cut you more deeply because that was your person.
Right. And
That
just
was your
because,
person.
and this is where we get it twisted. Okay. Just because you find yourself, there's a young man or woman, like if they're in high school or if they're an adult, just because they carry themselves and they're strong and they're direct and they don't take any crap from anybody, it still hurts. It still hurt. You can't mistreat them just because you're like, they won't even care because she's a
Right.
bee. She can handle herself. It still
And
hurts.
again, like, are we giving people a pass because their kid isn't the target? You know what I mean?
Oh.
And that's part of it too. Like, if your kid isn't directly implicated or hurt, you could be like, oh, it's fine. I'm not really worried about it. Well, once it comes potentially back around, then when your kid's in the hot seat, you will care.
Oh.
I mean, period. So to give all of you parents and grandparents a bit of hope, if you have a child right now who's in middle school or high school and he or she is going through some friend growing pains, if you will, my daughter Charlotte, who's a very social person,
Mhm.
is, like Amanda said, somebody who really keeps only a small few very, very close. And when she was going into her senior year, I think about that time of high school, she became friends with somebody that was
Yeah.
sort of a new girl in her life. And what's so cool is not only have they stayed friends, but now in college, her friend goes to DMAC in Des Moines and Charlotte's in Arizona. So they talk all the time. And she's probably more than mom and dad, the first person that Charlotte wants to see when she comes home.
Yeah.
Because they've stayed so close. And so that's the glimmer of hope, is there are people your child has not met and he or she may meet them at the very end of their
Yes.
K-12 experience,
happened
and
with
they can
Gia.
become really good friends.
That
you
happened
know?
with Gia. Like for me, I have watched closely with all of my friends when there were with all my kids' friends specifically. When things got hard, I watched who walked in.
Mm,
It's who
Sure.
walks in when everyone walks out, because that takes a lot of courage from that other person.
Yeah.
Person to say like, oh, you're being treated like the leper, I'll stand with you. And so I personally have thanked that individual, like those people in my kids' lives, like you're good stuff. Because that's
really,
difficult.
that's really nice.
That is difficult. So, and here's when it's a big group, if there's a coordinated attack on one person, some people will say like, well, they all can't be wrong. Well, they all share the same opinion. I never trust the group. I always trust the one.
Because a lot of the people don't even
Sheep.
understand or know why they're complicit. They don't
No.
even realize maybe what's going on. But
No.
then I think the parents outwardly looking in probably know, and it's too bad that they don't say something.
Yeah, but I know too.
You know, how come
And I'm
this
not
or how
kind,
come
and
that?
I'm not nice. Like it's like I'm not nice. And it was funny because like my other flaw, and I don't know whether it's a weakness or a strength. I look at it both ways. Like I think it's probably like
Sure.
outwardly people see it as a weakness, but like I am, the Sicilian in me. I'm a grudge holder. I do not forget. Like I don't forget. Like time does not heal all
I
wounds.
think
with
you're
me.
better. You're better.
Am I getting
about
better?
that, don't you think? I mean, because what you did before, you would sometimes
I would be active.
lash out, and
Oh,
now
yes,
I think
yes.
you do the pause. And
I do
reflection,
a bless and release, and you want to put like it's. I kind of tell everybody like put bows on everything. Like thank people for what they did in your life, right? Thank you for showing me who you were, literally. And I want to do a bless and release, but my problem is, I just don't forget. So it's like kind of like if you were mean to my kid back in 2010 at 10:59 a.m. I still remember. It's like that. I do. I remember. Like I remember everybody like. So you can't mishandle me and then come back around and be like, oh my God.
So another thing that happens in high school that you can relate to, I'm sure all of you watching can, when kids evolve and grow and hopefully mature, their friend groups shift based on life choices. And so going into high school, I remember distinctly telling both my kids, I said, as you guys are getting older, there are going to be kids that start realizing like, oh, maybe I would like to try that or experiment with this or do this. And so I would always say to them, you can still be friends with anybody, but just know that maybe some of their life choices are going to diverge from what you're doing. And let's hope that you can choose to still be your authentic self and not be a follower. And so in this case, I'm speaking, if you want to talk about literally, to like alcohol consumption and drug use, because a lot of times I remember, and I know you've probably experienced this, you'll have that one friend who doesn't drink and you don't drink, and you guys are like, let's not drink, we don't have to drink, and you're both kind of like united in that decision.
Yeah.
And then you go to a party, and then some guy that this friend of yours thinks is cute is like, hey, you should drink this punch, it has, you know. And then
It's
the
like an after school
girl,
special.
yeah, and then the girl might be like wanting to fit in or look cool, and
Yeah.
then they like cave and decide to do something that they told you they wouldn't, and then you're hurt because you're like, oh, well, now I'm the only one who's not, you know, doing it. And then I kept telling my kids all the time, I was the outcast who didn't drink or smoke in high school, and I felt very much included because I still went to all the parties. I
Mhm.
still had a lot of great friends from different, you know, groups, and I didn't feel, and if your kid is that person like me, they don't have to be like the prudish, like I'm not going to ever be invited to stuff, because I also wasn't like a snitch or a narc. I wasn't going out
Yeah.
and tattling, but I never felt pressured because people weren't coming over to me like, oh, let's go get high, or here, take this
Yes.
drink.
Yeah.
Once they saw that I wasn't judging them,
Yeah.
but I was like firm. I was firm in my resolve not to drink.
I think it wasn't too, like, it wasn't like, oh, you're so lame if you don't hit this. Right. It
Right,
was just,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
kids sometimes feel that.
I think they feel that
they
they
have
do.
to like go and get high to look cool.
I think so too. And I think this is where it's important to have the conversations that a lot of us didn't have with our parents. Like for me, raised by baby boomers, and I say that with all due respect, I love the baby boomer generation. I get very like, I don't like when people like knock baby boomers, right? They were the take no crap generation, but they didn't have the conversations with us because their parents didn't have conversations with them. So we weren't sitting around talking about, you know, all of this.
Vape pins.
Yeah, we weren't talking about that.
Isn't it weird
I know.
how like that wasn't even a thing?
No, we were talking about smoking the Marlboro Reds and, you know, drinking the Boone's Farm, right? But we weren't having. I have the conversations with my kids, right? So I was sneaking out. I would hit my curfew, and I would sneak out because I wanted to go to the parties. I was not drinking or smoking or doing anything wrong at these parties. I wasn't. I just on Monday morning
to be there.
I wanted to be there because Monday
Yeah.
morning everyone was talking about it, and I was always like, I'm like, what's happening at these parties, right? I wanted to go, so I would sneak out, but I wasn't doing anything wrong. But I would tell my mom, and she was like, sure, whatever. And I'm like, no, I literally wasn't doing anything wrong. So I will never forget when Gia, it was like a few years ago, I had heard about a party, and I said it was like on it was a Thursday night and the party was Saturday. I'm like, you going to that party on Saturday? And she's like, how'd you know about that? I'm like, I know everything. And I go, are you going to that party? And she's like, well, I didn't ask because I figured you'd say no. I'm like, I'm not going to say no. I trust you. And she's like, I said, I trust you. I said, I know you're not going to drink. I know you're not going to smoke. I know you're going to make good decisions. And I said, and I go, I get it. You want to go? She's like, because I just want to see what, you know what, and I go, I get it. So we open the door to conversations. Like I am opening the door to conversations. Like when Gia, I know I'm not naive. I know when you go to college, you're going to try, you know, all this stuff. I am very, very not naive. We talk to them about marijuana and weed. I can't even call it marijuana because that sounds like an after school special. We talk about weed. I go, listen, you can't you can't smoke anything now because you don't know what's in it.
Oh, so
because what's in
true.
it could kill you. Like we have the very real conversations, and they'll say, Mom, did you smoke? What? Yes. Like, it's just, yes, I have these very real conversations. Yes, I've tried this before. Yes, I drank this. I tell Gia, like, careful of Jello shots. They're going to go down real easy, and 2 are going to put you on your butt. Like, I'm not encouraging, but I'm taking the blindfolds off.
Yeah,
Like,
so they feel that it's not taboo to talk to you.
I want them to talk to me.
Right,
And I
right.
told her, I'm like, there is nothing wrong with you standing around and holding the same like can of White Claw. White Claw is very safe, right? The same can of White Claw in your hand at a party. Like, you don't have, like, because she's tasted alcohol. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, and she's like, I don't like it. Like, that's how I was too. I was like, I don't like it. I forced myself to drink beer in college because I thought it was cool. It wasn't cool. Right.
So Angie said, bless and release does work, but scars can reopen. It makes us human, not bitter. And that's such a good point, because you think that you're over something and you think that you've moved on, and then you either run into that person or you have some kind of secondhand additional slight, and then it just brings you right back to that moment and how you felt when the original sort of offense happened. And so I think the other part that's kind of interesting about different approaches to handling things, there is some wisdom in, if you feel slighted, recognizing that the person may not even understand how deeply you were hurt or how you took whatever they did. And so I think there is some level of comfort that can come from, if you do care enough about the person that you don't want to sort of cut them out of your life, to try to talk and have adult conversation and just say, you know, when you did blah, 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 that really hurt. Or when you did that, this is how it made me feel. And I think, not always, but I think there are some cases where the person didn't even realize that what they did was hurtful.
I think that's the case. I think that's the case. And I think the situation that I've seen unfold, I don't think people like direct communication. I think we live in such a phony,
especially in the Midwest. We're very passive to people's faces. As evidenced by the people that are really nice to us, and then they've changed their identity on Facebook and trolled us,
sending these anonymous emails. What I've learned is, though, people, they want hype, they want the Mike Tyson hype guy around them. So when someone said, well, what do you think? Do you think I was wrong? I, myself, all of my children, my husband, we're all the same. We all have very much an East Coast mentality. And I'm not knocking anything in the Midwest by any means. I love the Midwest. We're all very East Coast mentality. Yeah, I think you actually were in the wrong. That's it. People don't want that. Once they say that, she's such a, I've seen it with my daughter. I've seen it with my daughter.
Because what I definitely think that we all have been a party to, there are people who do not speak kindly of you behind your back, but then because they're always fake nice to your face, you just like to pretend and drink the Kool-Aid and think that everything is great, because the alternative means confrontation. And so in their minds, they're just like, oh, it's fine. And then somebody said, but didn't so-and-so say this or and then you'll just be like, oh, it's okay. Because part of you would rather be passive and be able to feel like I'm still included than to actually call. I think that happens a lot.
I agree.
Well, especially if it's a mom friend group, because you are worried if you are on the outs, then your kid might be on the outs. Yeah. And you want to make sure they're still included in the slumber parties and the play dates. And and don't you think all the things?
And this is where I think being a mom is difficult. This is the most difficult part about being a mom. It's kind of like, you heal your inner child being a parent, right? You do things, either you repeat your behavior, or so when your kid's going through something, whether it's mean girl, bullying, everything, it brings
you back to you being in their shoes.
It brings back, and so it's and you're getting ready to you want to respond in all the ways you didn't, but you wanted to, I wanted to have that moment again.
And isn't it?
Yeah.
And that I'm glad you said it, being a mom, because the dads generally don't have to do any and deal with any of this kind of emotional stuff that women go through,
because men are like this.
So we as moms, if you have children, if you're blessed with children, you have to manage a duality of relationships. You're managing your adult relationships, which can be messy and tricky. And then you're trying to guide and help your kids manage theirs. And so it is a lot. It's a lot.
Well, it's funny because when I was talking to my brother recently, we talked last night and then today, and he was just he's like, you are not the one to be giving advice. He was like, you're giving it the most real, but where you are in the Midwest, he was like, I don't know. I'm worried because I'm very much once I get quiet and I just lean back, everyone's like, oh. Because it's literally it's like the alligator just sitting watching. Like I'm very much like,
what is that in the Jungle Book where the eyes come out?
Oh,
of
the eyes come
water?
out. Because if you ever notice, like alligators and crocodiles, they will watch you for a long time until they strike. And it's just kind of like,
That is so funny.
don't get comfortable.
We need to do it. We need to find a meme
I need to be like,
where
with
the
my
eyes are coming out of the water.
because it's like I always say, like, don't get comfortable. I'm coming. I'm telling you, whatever you do, it's every energy we put out is returned to us. It is. It's everything. And it is God's way of saying, listen, I told you. I told you. I mean, it comes back. And I say that because I have behaved poorly and I have treated people badly and it has come back to me. So I am telling you, but I have a very group of protective people around me, right? I have a good core of people who are very protective around me. And so they are like, I mean, we joked about Molotov cocktails. We're at home making some Molotov cocktails.
You need to have that friend where they're like, I'm going to show up and, where do I need to be and what time?
Like my dear friend last night was like,
write it down, right?
Oh, we write it down. My dear friend last night was like, my anxiety is through the roof. Like, I mean, we were laughing about it. It's so good because we've all been there. If you've been there through childhood, if you have kids, you've been there and you've seen, I've been on both sides. You've seen your kid being the offender and you've seen your kid being,
and right now, if your kid is a senior, that time, if they go away for school or come back after months of being apart from you and living on their own, they will be so different in how they've evolved. And you can't even put your finger on it. You just know that there's a change. And so what's crazy is, and
I saw that with Charlotte.
Yeah. And we did that where the first holiday when you're home, the first Thanksgiving, the first Christmas, you're still like trying to, make sure you're included and you're who's hanging out where. And by the time the end of that freshman year comes in the summer, they may never even see some of the people that they were probably still interested in being around, even at the holidays, because you just have moved on so much. And so if your kid right now is having any trouble or difficulties with their current status or status of, whom they're with or what their relationships have been, know that they haven't probably met their people yet.
Oh, right. It's so true. And I think, I the one thing I've noticed with my daughter, especially who just graduated, or she just finished her last day yesterday, she's never fit in a box by design. I have taught my children very early on, we're not fit into a box because I did it. Right. And so Gia, I was emotional yesterday looking at her and I'm like, I marvel at you because what you've done is difficult.
Yeah.
Right. What she's done is difficult. Gia was born in Amarillo, Texas. Right. And when we were 2, and she doesn't remember that part, but we moved to North Carolina. Okay. And so she went to we call it junior kindergarten out there, not preschool. And so in North Carolina, she went to junior kindergarten. The summer before she went to kindergarten, we moved to Iowa. So we were living in one part and she was going to private school. She went there till 4th grade. And then we uprooted them again to move into our small town. And then she started a whole new school in 5th grade in a small town in 5th grade. If you are living in a small town, that is difficult stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That is difficult stuff because everything is established in preschool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true.
Everything is established in preschool. So I looked at her and I said, I don't want to ever forget to acknowledge you because you are strong and you don't take any crap and you don't, XYZ. What you did was, and I go, you are about to embark on the best part of your life because you are about to step into where you can just unapologetically, authentically be yourself. And I'm excited
so
for her.
I have a funny story. Okay. Speaking of, she's describing how much people feel very almost territorial about their place and their position. And what I mean by that is if they're born in a certain town, there's that feeling of well, I've been here before you came. And so therefore I have the upper hand, whatever.
Oh, Lord.
So when I was also like Amanda moving around the country for my job, when we finally did end up in Waterloo, at the time when Dave and I got married in 2005, there were no new construction houses that were under 200,000 anywhere in the Cedar Valley, except for Cedar Falls. Cedar Falls had So we got a house for like 183,000 in 2005, and it was a new home, which meant that, you know, for us not being handy people and then
Mhm.
also not having a lot of money to invest in any kind of renovations, it was like an ideal situation
Yeah.
that this was a new construction home. And isn't that crazy? 183,000. So I'll never forget. This is so funny. When Charlotte then started kindergarten, we were moving the year, or she started kindergarten when, let me think about this. It would have been in 2011 is when we moved to another neighborhood in the same town. Okay. In the same town. And, and I'll never forget how crazy this was. I actually talked to a teacher and I said something along the lines of, you know, we have gone through a little bit of a transition here because we're moving houses in the same city, in the same town, and the same school district. So the only thing that was changing was literally the house, but it was the same kids every day at school. And Charlotte, I think, was like in, I don't know, first or second grade. And the teacher said, I can tell Charlotte's really getting to Charlotte, or like she's really struggling. And I wanted to say, it's really getting to Charlotte. Like she has like everything controlled and calm in her life. The only thing she has to do is pick up her Shopkins, you know, and move them like half a mile down the road. Think about how silly that is. So it just struck me as how teachers sometimes are imposing trauma or situations where there is no reason to be upset. Now, if mom and dad were getting a divorce,
right,
if you were being bullied, if you had a horrible situation where you lost somebody who's close with you, that's, it's bothering her. Not, you know, well, you guys moved houses. She's not going to live in the same house from birth to graduation. No, because maybe people are going to move or life circumstances. You know what I mean? Like that's how much people want to have some level, like a badge of honor that I live in the same house my parents raised me in and I've never left. And good for you.
It's staying at the same job.
Right. And good for you. Like we didn't have that luxury because our jobs meant that we had to move. And then also,
and it was the mom's jobs that were moving us
and
around
then
the country.
We couldn't afford to buy a nicer home because we were so broke when we first started out. So when we got better salaries or sort of got ahead, our kids were already born.
Right.
You know, so that's the other part. You may not be able to financially be sort of keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak, until you're well into your 30s, especially now. Well, you hear about kids that say they can't afford a house.
Yeah. And I think Charlotte and Gia are in the same boat because for the good portion of the majority of their small childhood, those formidable years, we were at work.
Mm-hmm.
We were at work. So I'm proud as hell of my oldest daughter and all of the stuff and how like she is battle tested.
Mm-hmm.
She is battle tested
for sure.
And so when my daughter is upset about something, it is literally like, don't tell me. Because I am very much like
don't activate crazy.
Don't activate. And it is like I am very much like, okay, but it's listen.
This is so funny. I just looked at my phone when
are you okay?
She texted me at 6:59 and said, "Are you okay?"
Because, I thought you don't know. You could have had a heart attack.
I know it's up because she is waiting for me to come into the studio. And what's bad is I was telling her my son had to signed up for some audiobook thing and with school, and it accidentally activated, of course, a subscription. And then he said something like, "Oh, I probably forgot to cancel it before the free trial was up." Well, yeah, when it's linked to my account, you probably did forget to cancel it because it's on mom, not you. You know?
Always. It's always
so. Anyway,
mom.
So I was late getting in here, and so
we're at that age that we have to check on each other and make sure that we haven't like. So are you okay?
My mom wasn't answering my sister or my calls the other day, and then you know when your mom's 81 and they don't answer the call, those of you who can relate, then you're like, okay,
what's wrong?
Do I need to send Shirley?
Yeah,
down the hall.
Shirley's.
Down the hall to
you know, I knew a woman named Cheryl, and we used to call her Swirls. So I think we should call it. Yeah, we used to call her Swirls. No, I do that too. Like I would used to when Hector wouldn't answer my phone when I was on the news, I would send because I immediately go to Dateline Mine. I go, something's happened. Like the whole family has been pillaged, right? Like, so I would send the neighbor, can you go check on Hector? And Hector would call. He's like, would you stop? I'm making dinner.
Oh my gosh.
I'm making
and now
dinner.
Now speaking of emergency horrible situations, in January when I was hit, when a woman turned into me in downtown Waterloo, and then when I was in the crash, like whatever, 3 weeks ago, when in both situations, when I tried to get a hold of Dave, he was not answering his phone. And
Yeah.
it turns out he was in the backyard. In both situations, he was away from his phone. So thank the Lord for our neighbors, John and Sharon, because I immediately called them and they're both retired. And then Sharon is like, well, I'm here with him now. She was in the backyard talking
she
to him.
was.
So then I had to say, Sharon, I've just been in a horrible crash. Could you please let Dave
Oh
know?
my
that-"
God.
Yeah. So one gift that I probably told you guys, the paramedic at the scene was my husband's former student. So I have completely blanked this out. When I was in the ambulance, Dave called because he still hadn't heard from me if I'm going to be okay, which in that moment, everything is so chaotic. So he said that I did answer. And then I gave the phone to the paramedic, and I don't remember any of this. And the paramedic said, Mr. Getman, all of her vitals are good.
Good.
I
Good.
think
He didn't
she's
bury
going
the
to
lead.
be okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. He didn't bury the
So
lead.
Dave said once he heard that, then he could, like, the tension and the stress somewhat alleviated. So what's so crazy is I had no idea that conversation happened. So when he met me at the emergency room, he said he was already pretty confident that I was going to be okay. And then he had called my mom and told her, and poor lady was like, the last she heard me say was, I've been in a horrible crash. I have
And
to
then
go.
she hears all that
And then I hang
steel
up.
and the
So
glass.
like all of that kind of craziness reminds you of how, like what she said, majority of the time, everything's fine and the person just doesn't answer their phone. But that one time for me, twice in the last 3 months,
God.
that something awful happens. It's
That's
like,
what I mean. Like, that's what I was like,
horrible
are
if
you,
don't have
because
your
I didn't
phone.
hear anything either. I was sitting in here and I heard nothing. Normally I hear her getting ready and I heard, like, you know, because if
I'm
there,
so sorry.
no, I was just like, but I mean, the door was open. So I was like, and then I don't know. I'm like, do I walk through the house? But I don't know. Like, what if I didn't know? So
Okay, our friend Mary has weighed in, and we have now we need to qualify this. Mary is an expert in early childhood education, and she has been.
She's an expert in all of the things.
Yes, she's the
Whitney.
child care resource and referral guru of the area. So she has commented, and she said, moving schools builds resilience. I moved schools in 8th grade. The community of Ackley welcomed me and several students with open arms. My transition to college was much easier because I had moved.
That's a great perspective.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because that's the one thing that people, underestimate. If you truly went from pre-K through 12th grade with the same kids and in the same school, you may be somewhat feeling like you're fish out of water in college, because you have to like start over and have never experienced that feeling of like, oh, I haven't been with these kids since I was 5.
Yeah.
So I mean, that is a different transition.
Mary, I will not put it on a t-shirt that Mary is an expert in everything. I will not say that. But you bring up a good point. I went to Catholic school my entire life, so I went to school with the same people. Like my high school was a feeder school, and it was in downtown, like it was in the hood, and then it was all the feeder schools, right? But I knew the same people. You bring up an excellent point. So I went to college, and I didn't go to a very big college, maybe 15,000 kids total. My first night, we were going to a party at this place called Keister. And if you're from Western PA, everybody knows the legend of Keister. But I walked up, Tara, there were thousands of people. Dumpsters were on fire. And I was like this. I went home. Dumpsters were on fire. Like, I went home and I cried in my dorm, and I go, what am I doing? Like, I was very much.
Wow. Well, sure, because you were so used to the comfort of like
the
knowing
bubble.
someone.
The bubble.
Knew someone. Yeah.
You were used to the bubble. So I have Gia always wanted to go to a big college, which she is. She's going to be a Hawkeye. She's going to Iowa. So she wanted to. It was a change. She made the last minute change, but she wanted to go to the big school because she wanted to have this big experience. And so she's always wanted to try a sorority. And I also pledged. People are like, I was in a sorority. People are like, I was not like the Southern Belle sorority. We weren't doing all these TikToks.
It's weird because knowing you, I don't think of you as sorority material.
No.
So
I am
unusual.
First of all, I ended up being president of Panhellenic Council, which is the governing body over all sororities. But if you knew my sorority sisters, we were Kappa Delta, proud Kappa Delta. The moment I walked in this room, because you do pledge, right? And I am not like, you know, the prim and proper sorority girl. Come on. We all know that. Look at me. But when I walked into this room, I'm telling you, and I have told Gia this for as long as I will never forget how I felt. I was like, huh. I mean, it was like this instant, like, huh, these are my people.
Okay. So you felt
No,
that,
oh my
well, it's
God. Like,
good that they accepted you.
they let, yeah. They met me where I was, and we joke around because it was right around that time I got an unfortunate perm.
Oh my God.
And my ears cut out. Remember I told you they cut my ears out. So I had like a perm
You had a
mullet.
perm in college?
Yeah, because
That
I was
is
like,
so
I was tired
funny.
of curling my hair, and I had the Rachel. I had the Rachel haircut.
Oh my God.
So I go to college, have this great haircut, but I want it like curl on it, but I want it like those soft curls. We knew, like, you don't go into a beauty salon and get soft curls. You will come out with ringlet. And I came out and it was like my hair. I'm not even
It
joking.
was a poodle.
If any of my sorority sisters are on here, some of them watch, my hair was like this. So I knew that they really loved me because it's a bad haircut.
That is so funny.
But no, like man, I love like my sisters. I started mailing out graduation announcements for Gia. The first ones that got back. I mean, she was getting cards back, and it was every single one.
Your sorority sister. That's cool.
You will find
That's
them. I mean, it is. It's a and I remember I went through the whole. You're buying your friends. You're not. Like you're not. No.
So
Yeah.
I am different from you in that I did not have the same school from start to finish. So when I was in kindergarten through third grade, then I was able to go to a magnet school from 4th through 8th. So it was
That's
all
amazing.
the kids in the district that were put into, and it was only 60 kids per grade level, which is really small for where I grew up in Illinois. And then when I was going into freshman year, the majority of the kids in my 60-person class at that magnet school were going to a high school where my nephew now goes, and it's called Richwoods, and appropriately so, because it was the more affluent high school that was predominantly white. And where we lived in West Peoria, we were in the boundary to go to the high school that was on the south end, which is considered like the rough part of town. So my parents, being public school advocates and educators, said, you're going to go to the school where we live. And so I was always grateful that
that's the way it perhaps should be.
Yes, I was so grateful that I had that experience because I loved my high school, but only like 5 of us from my middle school went to this high school. So I was reunited with some of the kids I had left behind in 3rd grade. And so it was really kind of cool that some of those people became close friends in high school. But I'll never forget, I feel badly for my parents about this. My friend Susanna and I, we were very close with a lot of the girls that were going to Richwoods. And on our 8th grade graduation, we had like a party that the parents were a part of. And then it was like, it was like an all school thing with parents. And then the kids went and did their own thing. And we were bawling at the party. And I remember my mom, being kind of like perplexed because what do you say? And then her and my dad probably feeling that guilt of like, maybe we should have moved so that Tara could go where the majority of these 8th grade classmates were going. And I'm so glad that they didn't do anything to try to like manipulate it, because it just made me, like Mary said, more resilient.
Yeah.
So when I then went to I don't even remember. I want to say BU probably had like 30,000 kids. I don't know. I'd have to look what it was in the 90s, but we had the 2nd highest international population of any private college in the country when I left and went to Boston. And it never fazed me because I had already gone through in very, formative years of my life, like new transitions where I didn't really know anyone. And so in some ways it did prepare me then to go out into like real world settings and feel more comfortable.
Absolutely. I think my high school is amazing. My high school is a melting pot. Like, people hear I went to Catholic high school. I didn't go to a Catholic school that's like a Catholic school in Iowa. And I don't want to offend anybody, but I didn't. Like,
it wasn't homogenized.
No, my high school was like, we had, kids with Cuban descent, Puerto Rican descent, African American, Asian. I mean, like, it was literally like a melting pot. It was the high school, and then there was another Catholic high school and it was across the river, and it was like predominantly all white. And there was like, they were we were kicking A and taking names. I mean, you know what I mean? But we were still doing our, our fathers and Hail Marys. Like
I love it.
my high school was in the city, and it was gritty. I mean, it was gritty, and people didn't like, there was a predominantly all Black high school right down the street from us. They didn't like us. And they didn't like, and there was a lot of conflict between our two schools, but my grade school was all white. It was all like predominantly all white, in the suburbs. And then when you go into feeder schools,
you had more diversity.
Oh, it taught me everything.
Yeah.
It taught me everything. I mean, I remember I remember when I'm not laughing because of what happened, but when the Rodney King riots happened. So they were I was a freshman, and they were on the loudspeaker, and they're like, we need all of the McDevitt students. If you ride in a car, wait. If you're on the bus, taking a bus home, get on your bus immediately. And it was because everybody from the other high school was lined up across the street, and they wanted us to come out. They wanted us to come out. And so then I remember, and I was like, what are we doing? Like, what's up? And then some of my friends who were in the hall, who are African American, and they were laughing at me. They're like, "You're good. Like, you just roll up with that. Roll out with us. Like, you good. Like, I mean, it was just
so funny. So it was kind of like a West Side Story.
It was very much West Side Story, but like in McDevitt is where I learned my high school is where I learned my street smarts. I was getting it at home too, but in McDevitt was what taught me. It was because of who I went to school with.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I had so much culture. It was just the fact that
you really can't teach that out of a book. I mean, as evidenced by when I started interning in different TV stations, there would be kids that were now in their 20s who were like employees at some TV station, and they knew about Peoria because of having come there. And they'd be like, oh, where did you go to high school? And when I would say Peoria Manual, they'd be like, oh, because there was a stereotype that we were like the scary, unsafe, problematic high school. And I always took offense to that, so much so that the pride that I have for my high school has extended to adulthood. And on June 6th, I'm emceeing the alumni banquet at our high school. And it's
That's
like
exciting.
And it fills me with pride to see how well some of the graduates have done from the bad high school.
From the bad high school. It is always fun. That's why I always like when like when you hear people like I think the people that are big and bad, and I want to be like, I just want to take you back where I'm from. And be like that, like Hunger Games. Good luck. Good luck. So I think that's why, like with my own children, I raise them, my kids are gritty. Like my kids are gritty. Like, I am the parent. I'm a very different parent, and I'm raising my children the same way that I was raised. And then also learned in high school very much so. Like we don't start a fight. Like I will not start a fight, but I'll swing on you. And that's the truth. Like, and everyone's like, oh my God, like whether it's with my mouth or like, I do no harm, but I take no stuff. Like I take no crap. Like I will not take any crap. Like I will never walk into a room and start nonsense, drama, anything, but I will match your energy. And when I say that, that means you can only mishandle myself or my family or my loved ones for so long. You can only, and then like, you're not going to meet, the rehabilitated, bless and release me.
And I'm not at all equipped for physical engagement. When I was a freshman and I was like, for many people, there was a girl who was a junior who was very petite, and her boyfriend, who was a senior, had been like flirting with me and talking to me in the halls.
Oh, girl.
And I did not realize that they were even dating, because he like said something to the effect of like, oh, I don't have a girlfriend, or I was at the New Kids on the Block under 21.
She came for you.
It's always an under tour.
It's always an under 21 club too.
They were on tour, and we were there to see Please Don't Go Girl live. And I was wearing this girl came at me twice. She pulled my scarf at a football game and like started choking me at the football game. Yeah. Pulled both sides of my scarf, and I really didn't fight back. I just kind of took it at stage 2, this under 21 dance club. she pushed me back and I fell back like a domino.
You did?
I fell back like a domino. So she knew that she could bully me both emotionally and physically. And it's so
How
funny.
tall? It's just
She was like 5 feet. It was,
Tara,
yeah.
we
I
gotta
know.
go. Where is
And,
she
and
now?
so she died. That's
Oh.
what's, I know. That's what's so sad because I found out years later
Oh.
that she had some issue and
Well-
we never spoke after she choked me out at the football game.
She choked you. I'm like, I have
And
secondary
it's so funny
anger.
because my sister, who's 5 years younger, she would definitely have defended herself. I was more like I just like
I would
took
have been
it.
like,
took
I
it.
would have been Big Worm. Like, you know, you come, I'm killing you and him. Like, if you've ever seen Friday.
So let's read Natasha's comment, and we appreciate you sharing this. She said, I was the opposite. I wanted to see the world and get out of a small city. Loved learning about new cultures and meeting
Yes.
new people. I wanted to be an individual in college and not a number. So went to Webster University in St. Louis, where only 25 students per class. So the professor's student time ratio was a learning environment and great for international business management major.
That's
What
great.
what an intense major. Loved learning with people from all over the world. Still friends with some of my college classmates. I have been able to travel around the
Mhm.
world because of my career, and my college years helped prepare me to travel around the world by myself. And I
That's
need
great.
to say that my friend Gina, who will watch this or is watching, she is a solo traveler.
Mm.
And you, Natalie, sharing that, it's so interesting because or Natasha rather, not Natalie, it takes a special person to solo travel because you have to be okay with doing things without having somebody to, bounce it off, discuss all. I mean,
Right.
and I think that takes a level of confidence and independence that I really respect.
Well, Gina is like, you know, West PA, like, right? Pittsburgh grit. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, like when
yeah.
I met Gina, I knew I could instantly tell because she reminds me of everybody I went to college with.
I'm sure.
But it's like the Pittsburgh grit. Like, you're not like, tell her she won't do something. She's going to do it twice and backwards and wink at you when she does it. You know, and it's so like that's the thing. It's you know, it's I think it's a lot of where you grow up.
For sure.
And where, you know, formidable years in South Philadelphia, you know, like high school years, you know, it's where you grow up and it is your grit and it's why you don't play it safe. And it's like, I think, you know, Gina and I met like in person at Charlotte's graduation party. I literally feel like, because it's like it's this crazy PA bond. I literally could probably tell her, because she's coming out here.
Yeah.
And she's going to be at Gia's graduation. Isn't that, how cool is that?
Yeah.
But I literally can be like, give her a list. And she'd be like, all right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she would know exactly what to do. Because it was, but I love that. I think it takes a grit and it takes,
Melissa said Amanda's about to throw down.
I'm really
right
about
now.
that. Like, that woman's lucky that she passed away. Like, I can't believe she.
Well, and here's the other part, right?
Mhm.
That happens to us when we're at that age. We take stuff that when we reflect back as older, mature adults, like, why didn't I say to her, listen, I can't help it that your boyfriend wants to talk to me. I didn't realize you guys were
Do better. Do better.
He's not claiming you out in these streets.
Out in these streets. But like, I mean, I give it to her for being 5 feet tall and being like,
she was from there. There's definitely like a stereotype, you know, when you're from, you know, different parts of communities. And where I grew up, where she was from, the neighborhood and her background compared to me being on the bluff, she was like from the hood.
oh yeah.
And so
those small ones too.
She had a street smart, like scrappy attitude. And you know, I
smarts.
recognize that, but I was not a fighter, never was the type that was gonna like throw a punch. That's just not me. But
It's me.
But my sister could
Yeah.
definitely beat me up.
That
And
second
she's 5
one.
years younger.
It's that second one, right? They always say, have you ever seen the meme? Like, behind every older sister, there's always a younger, more crazier one. That's gonna like. I mean,
That's so true.
my sister was like a B in high school. She really was.
And she's really petite.
She's 4'11". My older sister was like 4'11". But I would
Kimmy.
be the one, I see red. So I will do cleanup. Like I literally like that. I will completely
Clean up.
admit,
I
like when
love it.
someone makes me mad, I can't. It's like, remember the Hulk when you could hear the music?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I can hear the
Lou
music of-
Ferrigno. That's a throwback. If
of
you
that
watch
Incredible
the Hulk
Hulk.
and Wonder Woman, remember
When you would
Linda
hear-
Carter?
When you heard that music, you're like, he's changing it to the Hulk. He's changing the, and I literally like
You feel like you have that transformation.
It's very,
That is
very
so funny.
And I will look now. I look at Hector and I'll go like this. I'm seeing red. I'm seeing red, and so everyone
And
like
he's
it's-
like, oh no, like we've activated the crazy.
But Hector is the one. He's normally the calm.
Mm.
So
which speaks to how fiery you can be, because if anybody, he should be more fiery, being of Latin descent.
well, when he gets
stereotypically.
mad, well, this is what's crazy. When he gets mad, he turns into Scarface. Like his accent gets very thick, and he goes, okay. So if you were ever around my husband and he hits you with
That is the best.
if he hits you with the okay, and you're like,
no, it's about to go down.
like, so last night it was like that. We were listening to Gia tell a story, and he had his can of Coke, and he goes like this. He's like this. He went, okay, and I was like, here we go.
I love it.
I was like, Hector's mad.
Oh,
It's
that
going.
is
Yeah, it's
so
fine.
cute. That is fun. Not that he was, feeling the need to respond, but funny that he goes into that mode.
I gotta get my 4-letter word of the day. That the hour is upon us already, and it's I don't even know what I want my 4-letter word to be today. I mean, you know what? No, I'm not even gonna look. I want my 4-letter word to be the grand mamma jamma that I use. That F word, like F it. Like I do, and I know I say that word a little bit too much. I say it more than that, but I just, whatever is stealing your joy, your peace, and your calm,
Let it
just
go.
let it go. F it.
This verse of the day comes out of Mark chapter 16, verse 15. He said to them, go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. And I love that, because we are called as Christians to share our faith, however that looks for you. And so maybe today, if you're a person of faith, think about how you could infuse the way that, God works in your life, or how your faith has been a driver in your peace to impart that to somebody else who could use it. And it's so crazy that yesterday, a woman I had never met she's from Parkersburg, named Courtney Fry. She's helping do a veterans event in Waterloo, a free event for vets coming up in June, because she's from a family of, husband and children who have served or are serving.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, you know what she said? That was such a good word to put on somebody's heart. She said, don't cast your pearls before swine.
Oh,
And what she means, and that's a biblical concept. It's a verse in the Bible, and I can't tell you which book or chapter, but it's like, if you're dealing with something right now where a person is offending you or hurting you, you don't have to appease that person, because sometimes, like Amanda says, what they think is none of our business. And so really, you just have to consider the source and move on. And if it's somebody who's probably not going to be inconsequential in your life in the next, year or 5 or 10, put your energy into something more constructive.
oh, it's such great advice. It's great advice. And sometimes, when you F around, sometimes you find out. So you can only push people for so long, but it is great advice. If you will not, if they're not sitting at your table for dinner, then why do you care about their opinion?
Yeah, you probably in a year even or less will move on and forget that it even happened. And so keep that perspective at hand before you turn into the Hulk. before you
I wish we could have played
before you activate.
The Hulk is activated today.
Have a great Wednesday. We will see you right back here on Friday.
Thank you for watching the group chat. The show is brought to you by the empowering staff at Urology Center of Iowa, Tenoyer Gardens, Azalea Lane Boutique, and Splendor the Medical Spa.